Hello everyone and welcome to the video, and today we're going to be talking about how to get better aim in Apex Legends. But before we get into the video, I'd like to ask you guys to not only drop a sub here, but to follow me on Twitch. I would really appreciate it, and it would help me out a lot. As you guys may have noticed, this is the first face cam stream I'm going to be doing. I'm not sure if I'm going to make this a regular thing on the channel, but if you guys want to see more of this, I stream pretty regularly on Twitch with a face cam. So if you guys want to get to know me a little bit better, just come stop by. I'm going to put the link in the description so you can follow me pretty easily. So let's get right into the video. So the first thing I want to talk about is sensitivity. So sensitivity is very important when it comes to aim. A lot of people think that you have to have high sensitivity, but that is not the case. I feel like sensitivity needs to be something that you feel very comfortable with. So if you feel like you're over aiming or overcompensating when you're trying to flick onto an enemy, your sensitivity is probably too high. Or if you feel like you can't track efficiently and enemies are moving too quickly and you feel too slow, then your sensitivity is probably too low and you need to up it a little bit. So it's all about finding something that's comfortable. Don't just move to other people's settings. I know a lot of people think like Jen Burton's settings, for instance, are, you know, they're going to play like him when they use his settings, but that's not the case at all. His settings are insanely fast. I think he has the fastest sensitivity you could possibly have in the game. So if you try to use his settings and replicate that, your aim is going to be absolutely terrible. So you just want to make sure that you're not having a too slow of a sensitivity or too fast of a sensitivity, because comfortability is everything. So just make sure your settings are optimized for you, and you will see a lot more success immediately just by that. So the next thing I want to talk about is actually doing a couple drills in the firing range. So the first drill I'm going to show you is just one that helps with recoil control. So as you can tell by this far target, if you just shoot at it from all the way back in the spawn, you're going to be able to control recoil a lot better. I do use stabilizers like on an R301 or an L-Star. I'll just sit back here, try to hit the target for as much as I can, and I'll do this for maybe an hour or 2 hours, just depending on how much I really want to work on a gun and get the recoil pattern down. And another drill is shooting the far target when you're all the way up here. There's a lot of people don't realize it, but there is a farther target all the way back here, and if you just shoot that, a lot of times I'll just shoot at it with the L-Star. It's not easy, it's very difficult, but if you can get it down, you'll be able to see a big difference in your accuracy at long range. And there is another drill that I want to talk about, which is just good for tracking, and this is just going back and forth and trying to keep your crosshair centered on the dummy. So as you can see here, I'm just going back and forth, and I'm just trying to make sure that my crosshair just stays on that dummy, and this is really good for tracking. A lot of times in fights, people will be strafing left and right, so being able to track that strafe down perfectly while you're still moving is a very important part of aiming, and just practicing your tracking this way is going to help you out a lot. So a lot of people recommend actually doing these like flicking drills where you just kind of flick on targets, but if you're on PC, that is very effective. And if you are on PC or a mouse and keyboard rather, using Kovacs or aim training is very important for improving your aim. You're going to see a lot of success that way. But if you're on controller like myself, flicking onto targets, in my opinion, is never an effective way, because you really shouldn't be flicking on targets as a controller. I feel like controller is all about consistent accuracy and slow, steady movements. So I feel like flicking doesn't really help too much, but you could practice it if you feel like you're if you feel like going from target to target is very difficult for you and you feel like you have a hard time doing that, then yeah, by all means practice it with the wingman or something. Just go back and forth from these little targets right here and just try to headshot all of them just like this. But the next thing I want to talk about is actually recoil control and understanding recoil patterns. So every single gun in Apex has a different recoil pattern. So as you can see here on the screen, I'm putting the R99 recoil pattern, and it is basically pretty self-explanatory, but if you just flip it upside down and do it the exact opposite, when you're shooting the gun, you pull down and a little bit to the right, you're going to be able to control it almost perfectly. So just understanding how recoil patterns work. I'm going to be putting the R301 on screen right now as well. Just understanding how these recoil patterns work is going to be able to inform you with what you need to be doing when you're actually trying to control the recoil. You're going to know which direction you need to be pulling down, and so that you're helping your aim and not hurting it. So it's very important to be able to understand the recoil patterns of each gun. So whatever gun you prefer, whatever gun you like to rock with a lot, if you are a big fan of the L-Star, just understanding the recoil pattern on it is very important, as well as the R301. And these things can be forgotten. It's a lot of muscle memory. So for instance, I used to run the R301 all the time, but now I favor the L-Star a little bit more just because it's a lot better. So I no longer use the R301, and when I try to pick it up, I feel like my recoil control is not as good, just because my muscle memory, I feel like, is more catered to the L-Star now. So it is a thing where if you don't practice with certain guns for a while, you're going to lose that muscle memory. So you just want to keep practicing with the guns that you favor, all of your favorite guns. You just want to make sure that you're solid with the recoil, as well as picking guns that work well with your recoil. So the next thing I want to talk about is actually where you should be aiming. So if you're using precision weapons like the wingman or the bow or the longbow or sentinel, any type of sniper or precision weapon, you are going to want to aim for the head. It's very, very important, and these are why they're precision weapons, because they're very rewarding when you hit headshots, so aiming for the head is very, very important, and if you can't hit consistent headshots with precision weapons, then you should probably not be using precision weapons in general. So that being said, if you're not using a precision weapon and you're using more of a spray weapon or an automatic weapon, you're going to want to aim for the chest. I like to aim for the upper part of the chest, kind of neck area, and that way when my recoil bounces up a little bit, I'm able to get consistent headshots that way, just because I recognize that I'm not going to be able to control the weapon perfectly at all times. So if it does bounce up, which it will, because I'm not perfect, it is going to land a couple extra headshots for me, and that's why I feel like aiming center of mass or a little bit higher and aiming in the chest, which is my preferred area, kind of like that upper chest neck area, is the sweet spot for me. But if you are a little bit less experienced with controlling recoil, you might want to aim a little bit lower towards the lower chest or the sternum area, and you will see a lot of success that way. So knowing where to aim on targets is very, very important. The next thing I want to talk about is bullet lead. So this is very, very important to understand. A lot of times if somebody is running, you're going to have to aim a little bit in front of them depending on the distance you are from that enemy. So it takes a lot of time to understand exactly how the bullets travel. And once you get the pattern down and once you get it perfectly right, you're going to be able to track people a lot better from long distances. So just try to practice that. It is a little bit difficult because it's only something that you can do in game, but just try out different things. If you feel like your shots aren't hitting long range and you're trying to aim a little bit ahead, you might be aiming a little bit too far ahead or too far behind or too close to the enemy and they're outrunning the bullets. So you just want to practice that and make sure that you're tracking long range is good, because you do have to lead your bullets so that they are hitting them efficiently. So understanding how bullets travel, how fast they travel, the bullet drop on each weapon is something that if you familiarize yourself with, you're going to see a lot of success in your aim in general. So the last tip I have for you guys in terms of aiming, and this is just another practice one, this is going in the range with one of your friends who you feel like is similar to you in skill, and just going up against them in 1v1s. And this is really good for tuning your aim and just getting warmed up in general. So this is a really good warm-up tip, as well as just improving your aim, because it's hard to hit the person when they're strafing on a head glitch with a wingman. But if you can hit somebody like that with a wingman, you're going to be able to hit your shots with other weapons much, much easier. So challenging yourself in that aspect, and just challenging yourself in all aspects of aiming, you know, trying to do some of these aim challenges without a barrel stabilizer, for instance, is going to be very, very good at helping you get better aim. So that's pretty much it for today's video. The only thing I didn't touch on would just be optics. So obviously using specified optics that help a lot. I feel like the R301 pairs really well with a bruiser or a 3X, 2x4 if you're on PC, and you can kind of handle that M and K aim a little bit better. Just using sights that are going to be optimized to not only you but your gun is very, very important. So that's pretty much it for today's video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.